And now, our feature presentation.
You are watching a master at work.
Hey, what's up, everybody? Raf in the building with my co-host, Zenith. Yes, sir, the boys are back because we are in a brand new episode of the Combat Club. Anything, everywhere, anytime with the Mission Martial Arts, boxing, wrestling news, because there's just like a great feeling for both of us. Because right now, we're just came back. We're being feel it because right now, there's like so many things to do about for the UPC and all these stuff right now. So I just wanted to tell about it. How does it feel inside? Because we are back and we are ready than ever.
Right? Absolutely. Thank you guys for giving us this time. I know we've been gone for such about 3 weeks now on our hiatus. I want to thank Rafael for giving me this time to kind of work out my new schedule and my new job. That being said, though, we are back in your lives. We are coming to you on a Sunday, not our usual Thursday or usual Tuesday. But that being said, as the weeks go on, we'll come to you guys one time throughout the week. We'll try to get the show up posted in advance for you guys to know what day we're going live. For you guys can stop by and then can join us. What's up, Billy? What's up, Daniel? You guys always come in true horde as the true diehards to the show. So thank you guys so much. Day one motherfuckers in the house. Let's get it. And I just want to say, a lot of stuff happened in the world of MMA. We had UFC 303 happen since the last time we talked. We had some crazy fight nights since the last time we talked. We even had a Canadian journalist leak the main events for the Sphere since the last time we talked. So I do actually want to open up the show with that. And then I'm going to let Rafael kind of do his best job as he always does hosting the show. He has some topics planned out for us today that we're going to run through, such as Gene Silver. Is he a badass for, a BMF, a bad motherfucker for, competing twice in 2 weeks and getting both wins? We had a crazy performance of Montel Jackson yesterday. We had a crazy performance from Rose Namajunas yesterday, looking like the young Rose. I know we have a pound-for-pound conversation we're going to get to in itself, too. And then, of course, previewing 304 and a bunch of other topics that we have on hand for today. But prior to me saying all of those announcements, I did say a Canadian journalist, a rookie, did a rookie mistake and leaked the cord, at least the main event and the co-main event for the Sphere. Now, this is not confirmed yet by the UFC, by the president of the UFC, anybody close to the UFC, but I just want to talk about these rumors real fast. So apparently, Dana White was on the jet to Italy yesterday, due to what I will only assume of to talk to Ilya. I don't see why else would he go to Italy. That being said, journalists came out earlier yesterday and said that we have Max Holloway versus Ilya Topuria for the featherweight strap, and then we have Moab versus O'Malley for the both bantamweight strap. So I think we open up the show with a little 10-minute discussion about those two fights. And what do you think of the UFC if those two fights gets booked at the biggest show that costed them about $16 million to produce, that they had to go out and actually get a sponsor to actually headline the show? So shout out to Saudi Arabia, the big event sponsorships. I forget what they're called, but they're sponsoring this UFC at the Sphere. Big salute to Latin America and a thank you letter to Mexico from Dana White himself. What do you think about this? These fights, rumored, obviously, but what do you think about it if it ends up being true?
I mean, after that, I just talking about for the Canadian reporter and all this stuff for the Saudi Arabia. I mean, that was pretty much closer that we just got it right now. But I think that between Saudi Arabia, I mean, that was very impressive at all, because the crowd, it became like any particular moments like that. But what I just saw about most of the people on the front roads, I mean, you just see like most of those people didn't know anything about for the MMA, but they just burned out on the lawns for Bobby. But I mean, the crowd knows what it's very strange, but they're the piping and the crowd knows. But then being all for these styles in between for the wrestling, the boxing, MMA fights, I mean, they just couldn't notice, because I just know about for the Balco's post-fight speech after they just won, but he was just getting an applause, being silent, but everything, it's not gonna happen at this one. But I guarantee that after it you saw, because they just have it a new return right now. Because it seems like another talented fighter, because we just see about it. But every time I got with a submission, a lot of it was laying. I mean, they may either go the furthest thing for a wrestler, but it seems that it's not gonna be like in a nutshell. But as soon as it go, but so it kind of like in a lot of fights where they fell through, but there are like it's still like interesting fights we just saw about it. I mean, this being like a very constructive, because initially Castman, not just one for the robber we take, but they had to pull off with this one. But I think he only been like at a low quality opponents in his short career so far. But also, they also have a very athlete who has very script, very powerful striking ability, excellent footwork. I mean, he has the ability to win a Boston. And between for the Sergey Pavlovich, he's earned like a reputation as the most feared heavyweight until Tom Aspinall carried the momentum. But like I said, I mean, they're gonna be like so realistic that the striking is not even that powerful, but very precise at all.
I don't know what you went off on. I apologize, but what do you feel about the Canadian reporter about the leaking the Spear event that Saudi Arabia, the Riyadh season is actually sponsoring 306? What do you think about? I believe you went on talking about the Saudi Arabia court. I'm sorry if I misspoke
Oh,
there,
you
but
mean for the
I
French
meant
community?
yeah,
Yeah,
I meant for the sphere. So it looks like the Riyadh season, the
mhm.
Saudi Arabia Riyadh season is going to be sponsoring 306 because it cost Dana White, I believe, 16 million to put on the show, and
Mm,
I believe he wanted it to be highlighted by some champions. It is the love letter to Mexico 306. I know Grasso was apparently they wanted her to fight Tracy, but Tracy couldn't get True Rose. But apparently, the Canadian reporter has leaked Max Holloway and Ilya, and obviously Sean O'Malley and Marab. Like, I know, obviously we're gonna have so much time to get to the show, but what do you think about just hearing that, just having them two great fights at a 306, which basically is gonna be the biggest event that the UFC has ever put on. Dana White has already spent about 16 million to for this 306 event. His love letter to Mexico, his love letter to Latin America, and being that you're
yeah,
Latin American yourself, what's your thoughts on it? If you guys literally are about to get, if Sean O'Malley and Max Holloway, Ilya and Moab is on the same card,
mhm,
and that's just the co-main event and the main event. I mean, like I
yeah,
can't wait to see. I know words, rumors of maybe a Dan Ige versus a Diego Lopez too. That might be on that card because that was a short notice fight, and Diego and Dan Ige put on a show that last time out on short notice. And I know there's a lot of other Latino and Latin America and just you know South America fighters in itself that is going to be representing the Ted and
yeah,
Mexico. Mexico in itself is going to be represented big time on this Cinco de Mayo weekend, if I'm not correct. Well, not Cinco de Mayo. Well, I guess Independence Day for Mexico. What were your thoughts on if those fights end up being true, even though those are just rumors
Ooh, I
right
mean,
now? What's your thoughts on that?
I mean,
Max Holloway and Ilya and Sean O'Malley versus Moab on the same court on Mexico's Independence Day at the Sphere. Probably going to be bigger than UFC 300 in my mind. What's your thoughts on that?
obviously, for the UFC at the Sphere, I mean, I know it's a very, very card, but for one, at the
Mhm.
level of the Sphere, mix it up with it being big like a Mexican event, which is like the Independence. I mean, I feel like could actually make it on the card like this. And I know that accidentally they did shocking him off for the late the car, but the Ilya versus Matt's fight, it will be like the featherweight title, but it was only at like the BMF then 100%. But there's also one that I'm thinking about it. Losing now for the Conor and Kazmat fight, there's not really like the biggest events for the year because they're gonna want to give like something good. Not that the new fights that those cards are really excited, but I know for this card, but what if it's gonna take it at some point right now? But I know there's gonna be rebranded. At some point, it's gonna feel like they're gonna make it like a great splash, a great splash. But I understand with an amount of this comment about that makes so much sense because David Dana, which is so you like the same, is gonna be like the most expensive sporting event ever. But how this event is gonna be like more viewers about for anything. But it's not going to be exactly about it. But between for Sean O'Malley, I mean, I will doubt with this because Sean O'Malley proves like energetic right now. Energetic because it could be like very similar right now. Because what is gonna do the fair right now? I mean, it's gonna be it's not gonna be distracted by the fighters. But I'm very interested in how it's gonna be like the striking, the grappling, the wrestling. I mean, Murray just like a freaking animal. O'Malley's gonna be like very better to get that early knockout, or it's gonna be like one fucked up with it because I mean Murray is no algebra. That's for very sure because I'm pretty much that has ever heard Mirov before he eventually goes to the sheesh. I mean, Sean O'Malley is very expert to keeping distance and sniping. Even go ahead to go for the other way. But those fights in general rule for the because this style is very fun, energetic, but it's kind of like weird, but it's probably obnoxious. Because the doing for the personality of Marav, I mean, look at this fight. It's kind of like a boring, but it kind of is gonna be like a win-win situation, but it's gonna be like Marav gets get out the soft, or maybe going for the round number four. Round number four, because the only finish from Marav is against Marlon Morales. But his only chin is up there for the completely toss because the last finish was 2017. But it's gonna finish with a strong. I don't think about it. But if O'Malley doesn't slip him, I mean, this is gonna be like a really rough night about for the him. And between from Mats Holloway versus Ilya, I mean, boy, what can I tell you about this right now? It should be like some interesting right now because I just see between because here's what I'm thinking about it. I mean, Mats display amazing with the hit and run tactics. I mean, the strategy is never wrong about it. Never wrong. Because he looks so very good and fell out to the lightweight. But it kind of sucks that they drop in a weight class. But also, they just say that there's so many fresh right now. But Topuria, don't sleep on them. Because those mods are going to be like a big crisis considered with this ego. I mean, if Alien's going to slug bulk in a mess, that's an insane resume. I mean, it's going to make it a sense because I think that the shorter frame of Ilya in the boxing style, it will be hunting for a match to all night the opponent for this ribs. No data at all. But that's the only way that I just see like truly finish Holloway nowadays. But it's kind of crazy because Matt has 33 fights. And the only person who finished him was Dustin back in 2010. That was also Matt's first
By
fight.
submission. And that was Max's first fight in the UFC. And of course, we're gonna get so much time to break these fights down. Like I said, this is 306, so it's a ways away, guys. I just wanted to get his war reactions on the Canadian, leaking these fights, and he did give us a good breakdown. So thank you for that, Rafael. We have a lot to catch up on, and thank you for even talking about the Robert Whitaker upset that a lot of people thought that Robert Whitaker was washed and he wasn't going to go out there and he wasn't going to do a performance that he did in Saudi Arabia. So shout out to Robert Whitaker too. I know it's been a while since the show been on, and it's funny that so much events passed since the last time we talked and so much events to catch up on. But I'm gonna let you host, and I know we had some questions you wanted to bring up and a lot of MMA talk today. So let's get it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and when we're talking about for like Robert Whitaker, I mean, they just look like he wants to like destroy something during the walkout. I mean, it seems like the attitude and the mindset was hitting up with a switch. He's always been like very confident, but he's very wrong corner physicality. But also there's like a difference between the knuckles and of course something about for the grappling. I mean, this is gonna be like a light. I mean, if that man give it like a title shot, that gonna be it. That gonna be it. And I know that
I honestly I want to see him fight Sean. I think that'd be a perfect fight, him versus Sean. But Sean's gonna probably wait for the winner. But I know we had a bunch of topics to get to. I don't want to hold us up too long. Whichever one you want to begin on first, or we can talk about 303. We can talk about the pound for pound conversation. We can talk about the prospects that is emerging from these fight nights. We can talk about a lot of things. At first, I do want to cover it. This um a fight night happened yesterday, and I honestly think we shouldn't say the guy's name, but honestly, he deserves to be cut from the UFC. So Cody Bundage, if for every reason that you find yourself on this video, fuck you. There's people that really deserve that wants to be in the UFC, and if no one knows what I'm talking about, um, he was on the court yesterday. He was beginning the main events of it was him versus Adesanya. Abul Wazak Arasan. I can't even say his last name. I'm gonna slaughter it. But anyway, he clipped him. He got him pretty good, and Cody basically was tried to rush for a takedown. It didn't succeed. Alasan is just ends up hammering him in the face until Cody is basically dropped to his knees, and then in the excitement of the blitz, he accidentally hits Cody with two baby soft back of the head strikes. Referee stops it, being thinking that hey, I need to warn this guy a back of the head, and all of a sudden, Cody pulls his acting hat out and does it again. He basically acts like he's dizzy. The referee basically not Herb Dean, the referee at the time says he's good to fight. The doctor comes in, says he's good to fight, but no, baby Cody is just being a little bitch and saying, "No, I'm busy, I can't fight." And he thought that he was gonna get his second win of his UFC career. The only way this guy can win is just pussying out. But guess what happened? The ref wasn't about it. The doctors wasn't about it. So it was a no contest. And little bitch is probably not going to be fighting for the UFC no more. I already called for Dana White to fire his ass. A lot of people want him gone. I mean, like, this is the cream of the crop of the sport. Okay, maybe if this happens in the lower levels, it's acceptable, but this is the prestigious UFC. And if a fighter doesn't want to fight, why the fuck are you even getting into the cage? We have someone like Drew Dober that damn near has a big fucking slash on his face that literally wants to fight and yet gets stopped by the doctor when literally he can't even see out of one eye and he wants to be there. Cody, I don't understand why you're even in the UFC. You should be dropped from the UFC immediately. Another performance that I want to point out is Montel Jackson. Absolutely stud on a 5-fight win streak. Disowns and just 18 seconds on Blackshear. Nice straight right down the middle. Blackshear drops. I mean, like, beautiful to watch. And Montel Jackson is a contender at this point. Is probably going to be fighting for a championship in the next 2.5 years. And I know I'm going to hand the mic over to my co-host Rafael because I know that Gene Silva had a beautiful performance after just fighting on UFC 303. So that being said, go right ahead, Rafael. I know you wanted to cover Gene Silva and what a bad motherfucker he is.
Yes, and talking about for Cody Brunage versus Abdul Raza Halsan, because that sounds like an Arabic name. I mean, here's what I said about for the fight. There's 4 elbows for the show scene. 2 we know about for the claim, but I think it should be like a disqualification because considerably how really rules are actually enforced because the people just kind of hoping it will get like the disqualified win again.
But here's the thing, right? Like, I'm not gonna debate you on what you think because you're entitled to your own opinion. If Cody was literally like unconscious, then we get it. But it was the same thing that happened with John Jones and Matt Hamble almost. It was the guy was dazed and he found a way out. If Cody was winning that fight, he wasn't dazed. Those illegal elbows came. He was dazed before the illegal elbows even happened because he rushed in on a takedown, didn't get the takedown, and he felt the pressure of the motherfucker. As soon as he felt the pressure, he literally was fine to fight. He acted dizzy, and if this guy never did this in his past, okay, I'll forgive him. But he literally did the same thing, thought he was going to get an easy victory, and it didn't happen. That's where the frustration comes from, is because you literally were fine, bro. You were fine to fight. And I'm usually not one to say how these guys feel. Obviously, everybody's different. We don't know if someone's really sick, or if they're just acting like they're sick. But at the end of the day, you could clearly tell that guy was clearly fine. The doctor said he was fine. The referee said he was fine. And he took the pussy way out because he didn't want to stand next to he didn't want to finish that fight because he would have got knocked the fuck out. So at the end of the day, it's about going out on with your sword. It's about dying on your fucking feet. This guy took a fucking knee, died on his fucking knee, and it should be fucking laughed at. I would love to fight this kid. I would love to fight this kid. This kid is a scrub. Continue,
Yeah, yeah,
Raphael. Though you're entitled
yeah,
to your own opinion.
yeah,
I would
and
beat this
after
kid's ass, bro. In a boxing match, in an MMA match, in a fucking grappling match, in a jiu-jitsu match, in a wrestling match, in a fucking judo match, I would beat this kid's ass.
yeah, yeah, yeah. And of course, we're speaking about for John Silva because I just saw the whole fight between Drew Dober versus John Silva. I mean, what can I tell you about it? I mean, Dober has a bad cut, but we understand that John Silva became like the baddest motherfucker ever on the planet. He could be like at a title shot, maybe for the baddest motherfucker title. Probably give it like at a few years, and he will continue about that. I mean, what I just saw for the fight, and that was just like that's a gray wound at his face. I mean, that cut was really nasty, and the people know that John Silva is about to get like really savage right now. Because if he can actually make 145, he has a serious potential. But what are gonna go back with where he comes to be not to make weight is gonna piss off guys with over on 2 week short notice. But I'll tell for that one. I mean, he just beat two veterans in two straight fights. I mean, that was just like a great savage. I mean, I got to do about it. Being a top 25 guy at featherweight, and now he's a top 15 lightweight on short notice. He just stopped about the wrestling and just tap it. I mean, give it like a great shot. And I just want to tell it about it. I mean, what a great performance right now. I mean,
and to do it at a division higher, do it one division up. You know, it's one thing to keep your power at the division that he was fighting on. Now he kept that power, and he literally had the ref stop the fight because of the cut. It was a doctor stoppage, but to do it to a division above you, that was really impressive. Continue though.
Mm-hmm. Yep. But I understand that I'll keep an eye because he was very good, and I wouldn't be surprised because he saw him on the top of his guns because he was delivered like a master class. I mean, Kwani sent to the first round knockout, someone in their own weight class, and then fight to a weight class 2 weeks afterwards. I mean, that's a sign of respect. I mean, that was since he wants to keep going, but the cut was nasty. I mean, Dober has a great heart, but I'm very glad it was stopped.
Take notes, Cody. You see that? That's a true fighter. That's a warrior in Dober.
Yeah.
You see that, no, Cody? That's a guy that's going to have a job in the UFC. I mean, like, I'm sorry to bring that back up, but it was just pathetic. It was pathetic to watch Cody cry like a little crybaby because a soft-ass back-of-the-head strike when we seen fighters get soccer kicked in the face, stand up and fight, get kneed in the face, stand up and fight. Illegal need, mind you. Get actually fucking almost wobbled and want to continue to fight, and that's why it was so irritating to see fucking little Cody little Brundage. Let's just go fucking of his MMA fucking career. Let's just fucking look at this pathetic fool that is Cody. Okay, fucking can't even get past Nick. No offense, Nick. Okay, then fucking loses against Michael, gets knocked out against Michael, and fucking congratulations on your knockout against Gore. But at the end of the day, I mean, like. Really, we're not impressed with that. Fucking barely makes it out against Dermis. Fucking actually, Dermis beats him. Fucking the illegal stuff. I mean, like it's pathetic at this point. He's trying to win these fights and against these fucking these true warriors, and he's a phony and he's a fake. At the end of the day, he was exposed by not even a real big level contender. I mean, like Bo Nix is him, but he has a long way to go. I mean, like he was exposed against Bo Nix, and Bo Nix made that guy look stupid. You know what I'm saying? So at the end of the day, I'm not trying to pick on him, but at the end of the day, I mean, like it's so irritating when you see that kind of shit. And then another fighter I want to, kind of get my calm about that was impressive, that wants to be there, that does want to give his word, is Charles Johnson. Everybody picked Joshua Van, the new kid on the block, 10-1, looking fresh, looking fly, powered out, knock you out, looking super clean in his skills. And then Charles Johnson comes in there and just gives him it in the first round. Van has pretty good second round, but George Johnson shows up at the uppercut from hell, sends Van into the shadow realm, and there goes another what we thought was going to be prospect. That being said, there's levels to the shit, and at the end of the day, some of these guys like Cody, that is now fucking 10-6, deserves to not even be on the fucking B team. That is Bellator. Deserves to fucking probably be on the C team, whatever organization that wants to fucking pick him up. Because at the end of the day, I'm just tired of weak ass people in the UFC, because the UFC is for the best of the best. That's why they call it the Ultimate Fighting Championships. They don't call it the Ultimate Fighting Mediocre fucking fighters. You know what I'm saying? I'm sorry.
Yeah, and speaking about for Charles Johnson, I mean, the real ones understand about that. He's very entertaining. He's an entertaining veteran that tests guys trying to get to the rankings. I mean, that was just like a pretty weird. I mean, Johnson was, I don't think that anyone is supposed, but it was just like even a fight until the finish. But I was just like, wow, that uppercut was very filthy. That was like a great shot. That was like a fun fight. But I think that Johnson was dialed up and put a super technical. I mean, it was being great to see like the success and evolution. I mean, he's moving, he's very insane. But a lot of things were very good. But I mean, it goes like with the average unranked flyweights are getting better and more skilled fighters than 90% of the heavyweight. Obviously, like the pound by pound, but I just understand it about that was like 1 second he was fainted like at a kick in the front, and boom, he was under the striking for the side. I mean, dude, I didn't throw the same move that he moved except the double jab before the uppercut. But I feel like it's gonna be like at a 2 different weight classes. They always thought that band is gonna be over high, but they knew Johnson's gonna be like at a harder fight. Pause. But they didn't see like the knockout. But people did realize that Charles Johnson is gonna be like really a notch. I mean, everyone wants to hurry in this card. But that's going to be now the happen of this one, because he closed down to the left side with striking ability to run out to the fight. He opened up with the round number 3, and he was ready to lock out. Ready to lock out. I mean, that is not a bad loss. It's just like a great lock. I mean, that was a great fight for him. Great fight for him. But I just hope that Johnson never changed about for this division. But, I mean, that's the greatest base. I mean, it was like a 1-1, 2-0-0, or 0-2. But I mean, everything is looking great right now. But he looked very good. He was gonna bounce back. I mean, he came out for the third. I mean, he's still out of the great addition for that roster. I mean, I know there's gonna be like a great stoppage, but they're not trying to let him like a more like unnecessary shots. But they was just like a layup. Johnson is very, very comfortable. Also, he's a dog. Ben didn't lose him a much stronger than knows he was like a good strap. But that was just like a nice knockout. But somebody had to bet on Ben. I mean, they cost like a lot of money. But Charles Johnson, and hear me out, Charles Johnson, it became like underrated on those fights. And don't put me wrong about it, because even though that Ben is still overrated, but Charles Johnson, it became like one of the underdogs on that division of UFC.
Well said. Well said.
And I mean, I cannot grab about it. I mean, he's particularly a dog because I cannot believe it about it, because that's one of the most incredible fighters, because it could get like 5 minutes and it just said, oh, okay, I'm all right now. But for Charles Johnson, I mean, that would say he was like deserves better. I mean, it's exactly one of the kind of fighter who should be like anything could happen. I mean, if people that just love enjoy Johnson, because he doesn't have like many boring fights. His activity is pretty wild. Pretty wild that I just get it right now. I mean, he's always putting up for the game. I mean, he's good in fight right now. I mean, the activity is pretty nuts. But I think that God is gonna be like in a new contract. But I just hope it's getting some momentum right now. it will be like it's not gonna be like an epic card, but he deserves a lot of better because the game strategy is totally fresh. Coming out for the war and get ready to another one.
Absolutely, we can move on. That was great. That was great analysis.
Yep. And after we just saw for like the fights that are between for John Silva and you're talking about for Charles Johnson. I mean, after that, we just saw for like the last night at Denver, and I know that I understood that some people they might know because I know that something. Imagine it could have happened like in another fights, but I know sometimes could be excited. Sometimes gonna be like I'm not really excited at all. But I was thinking about for like between for like the fights. I mean, it could be like really excited at all. But we just saw for like they're really shook out for the welterweight division. I mean, that was like very no way at all. Because what I just saw that it really shook out for the welterweight division. I mean, that was just like the knockout because I just saw for like the knockout because there's like there's no mistake about for the watch it at all. No, no match it at all. I mean, whatever has to go for it. I mean, if we can put them as trying to do something right now, I mean, it should be like something important about it. But I mean, there's like another topic. We're just kind of talking about it. I mean, the future was gonna be like the women's mission martial arts. I mean, after that, I just saw for Tracy Cortez versus Rose Namajunas. I mean, first and foremost, I mean that was a like, great fight. That was like at a short notice. But Arkley is gonna be like the greatest strawweight ever. But she was put in like in the bad situations and fought every time. It doesn't seem like very flustered. I mean, she never quit on herself. I mean, that future is gonna be really right. But in my opinion, right now, I think there should be like a lot of chance to pour about this. I mean, it doesn't seem like there's a lot of females that come very slower, but I know this is gonna be like very very interesting right now. But I just see that it is exactly because some of these women fighters are still young, but it looks very good because the game plan it looks out and I don't think it's looked like shit. But very early right now, I mean, it's not gonna be too embarrassing right now. But it's something that I think that the championship or this still stack, but they need something to start right now. I mean, between for the future of the women's submission martial arts, I mean, it came like at a great opportunity, but it still like they have the lack of star power. But the skill increase, and I had to mention about that. I mean, it kind of like very angry because I just recommended for Irene Aldana's last fight and how the women's submission martial arts can be actually to see how to watch right now. Definitely an increase of the skill for the lower weight classes. But I think that introduction people dropping about that when the people that just open and snatch it like talent like Cyborg, Singano, Carmouche. I mean, I don't think that ambition is gonna be much longer. But I really, if you think about it, I mean, the women's division, it's very stronger than ever than talent. I mean, it's gonna be like it's not gonna be like the same problem because it's gonna be like very important because it's not very exactly disastrous because it gotta takes like a low skill level and it's better right now. I mean, there's no problem about it at all. But they need to improve like a little bit because there's not gonna be like some people is gonna have lost interest in right now, but there's like a lot of dimensions. I mean, featherweight, bantamweight, flyweight, strawweight, they're just doing more fine. But I mean, the ability is not the bit there. But they also has the great stars who can make it like very bright. Some of they don't. I mean, it doesn't really have guns out for that everybody loves to see like the ranking of go to the weight class. I mean, if all that is in right now because right now we've been like the best talent. I mean,
I
they
think
have
I honestly think what needs to happen is Tracy fucked up, It was supposed to be Tracy's fight. They would have gave her the sphere if she won that fight for Mexican Independence Day. It would have been a great fight for Mexico. Alexa versus Tracy. Tracy would have been 6 fights into the UFC with 6 wins if she was to beat Rose, and she fucked up. She totally let that opportunity go away. She said she started off slow and she should have tried harder. That's my honest opinion. I'm blunt about it. I think the next step for Rose is to fight Macy Barber. Macy Barber is above her in the rankings. It was a fight that was supposed to happen before Tracy stepped in, and I think Rose and the winner of Macy Barber and Rose could be a contender in a division. I think Rose is 2 fights away because we have people like Munyon Flowroad is her name that just beat Eon Benchfield. She's a dog, and I honestly think she's next. The Beast, I think the Beast is next for the title shot against Alexa. I don't know how the rankings. I don't know who's tied up, who's injured, who's not injured. Like my co-host Rafael just explained. But if you look at the top of the heat at the women's flyweight division, Valentino, when she gets healthy, is automatically going to get her title shot. It's going to be match number 3, the match that was supposed to be at the Sphere before I believe she got injured. And I don't even think why she's not even in title contention. She's next in line no matter what. But I think what will probably happen will be Alexa versus Flywat the Beast, because she's just absolutely killing everybody, and she just killed Blanfish. That basically it's third in the rankings. Rose, I think the fight to make is Rose versus Macy Barber and Alexa versus Mannion the Beast. And that being said, I think that'll kind of shuffle the rankings to make it to have a clear path to who's gonna fight next for the championship. And my homie Raphael is right. I mean, like this women's division is outside of maybe the strawweight division. The top of the flyweight division of women's is the division to watch, because at the end of the day, bantamweight, I get it. We have a lot of contenders, but I only can think of one contender that's gonna hold the championship soon, and that's the judo champion in Kayla Harrison. So Kayla Harrison will become championship at that division. And to be honest, I love all these women at the top of the heat, like Tatiana in the strawweight division. But at the end of the day, Ray Lee is going to be champion from that division for a long time until these up and comers can get their shit together. So it really is the flyweight division that we really have a lot of questions on, and there is really, with Rose now in the mix, 3 or 4 contenders for the women's championship fight. So Alexa Grasso, you're going to have your hands busy for a minute, and hopefully, who knows, is Alexa that good to survive all these contenders? And if she is that good to survive all these contenders, who knows? I'm not trying to count out Raquel Pennington, but who knows? We might have a Kayla versus Alexa fight in the future, champion versus champion, but that is 4 to 5 years away. We'll see what happens. I know the women's division is a bit boring at times. I'm gonna admit it. I don't follow it as heavy as I do. But at the end of the day, there's a lot of stuff that Tracy left on the table yesterday that I picked her to win against Rose, one of my favorite female fighters of all time. Tracy let too much moments get away, and she would have fucking jumped the line, man. She would have jumped the line against all of these people if she won that fight yesterday, and she didn't get it done. Go back over to you, Rafael.
Yeah, and whatever they said about it, because I know that's something that it just became about it. But what I just see, like the moment that Amanda Nunes became like very undisputed about for the women's sport, but I just feel like they just made beating Holly just pretty like they cement the status. But I think this should be like probably gonna make it like an acclaim. But I mean, it's very noticed because she only had to win for the Bellator champ, Julia Budd as well. I mean, Amanda, would just see it about it. I mean, we just see like the status will never taken away because she literally like knocked out all the champions that includes.
Oh, and Amanda will come back if Kayla takes that championship away from Peloton. She goes on a 3-fight win streak. I can see Amanda fighting Kayla before Grasso moves up, because Grasso is gonna have her hands busy for a bit. I just want to add that in. Amanda is not fully retired, because if Kayla goes on the one in the bantamweight division, that's the competitor of the Lioness. The competitor of the Lioness is gonna want to come back and is gonna want to challenge Harrison. I'm not trying to dismiss our champion, but with Cup Henderson right now, but Kayla's the future of the bantamweight division, and we can all just admit that Kayla's gonna reign for a while unless someone like the Boogeyman comes back, like the Lioness, and comes back to claim the throne. And meanwhile, you have Grasso that's just trying to figure out her heat. And I do want to say this. I'm sorry for interrupting you. I honestly think Rose is going to be like the Cowboy Cerrone of the sport in the females division. She's going to be in there. She's going to have really good performances against some of these veterans and some of these up and comers. But to get to double champ status, especially in this flyweight division right now, is going to be hard because I do think the champion outboxes Rose as good as Rose is, and I do think that no matter who's gonna dog me on this, I do think that Grasso will be able to finish Rose, and who knows what could happen when if Rose ever gets that championship fight. But I see Rose more of in this point. I know she just had a beautiful performance against Tracy. I just think Tracy was it's just too much of a level jump for her. I honestly think Rose is going to be the kind of like the Rafael said, kind of like that gatekeeper of the division. So you want to get through the top five. You want to get ranked in the top five. You got to fight Rose. Rose is going to lose some. Rose is going to win some. But Rose is going to go down as a legend in the sport, a woman's pioneer, and a woman that had her moments, that did shock the world and beat Joanna Jędrzejczyk, that did have beautiful fights in there. Had like 8 takedowns against Paige Van Zandt. Had beautiful performances in there. But this late in the game of Rose and this high level contenders in her new division, it's gonna be tough to wrestle that championship away from the champ and even get to the opportunity to fight for the championship is gonna be hard on her.
Yep, absolutely. And after we just talked about for the future of women in MMA, so right now, because over the last episode that I just made on the Combat Club, I just talked about for like who got like the GOAT status. Because after that, I just see of the UFC 303, I mean, that became like it is so realistic right now when it comes to Alice Pereira versus Islam Makhachev. I mean, what can I tell it about for this one? I mean, it should be like a great take, but it needs to be like it to become like the undisputed. But whatever takes it to be like the GOAT status between Alice Pereira and Islam Makhachev. I mean, there's like at a time, do you have like the change weight classes every year to become like anything for the GOAT? I mean, if you can win like the 4 meal fights, I mean, that's gonna be really realistic right now. It's gonna be realistic, but it's gonna be like a great conversation. But Alice Pereira, it became like one of the greatest champions, but it just paid a lot of the way to do, because that's the beauty. Because everybody that just fought Khabib, they knew exactly what's going on, and no one made it believe right now. I mean, most of those guys with those of the GOAT status are more finished than decisions. And the finish are rather like 50-50, knockout, TKO, submissions. It's not going to be really mixed up. But in every sport, there is like a difference between best and the greatest ever. They have most titles, records, stats, but it's simply like the version of the fighter has to do for it. I mean, after what you see like Alice Pereira winning it all, I mean, they just need at least 5 title defense to become like the new greatest of all time. But I'm not very sure that's gonna be like at a high weight or be someone like John Jones or Tom Aspinall. But it became like a more untouchable, similar to Anatoly Malkin, who accomplishment in the one FC. But it's not gonna even very close, right? Because he has one of the most impressive short runs to the UFC, but his run of fame just worth it. I mean, unfortunately, it's gonna be like how many fights is gonna be before he ending up? I mean, the part of the conversation, I mean, because look at the mention about that. John Jones, George St. Pierre, Anderson Silva. Now look at the list of the clip. What did it take? I mean, it just got like the more to make the impacts. But when it came with a short notice, I mean, Alex Pereira became like one of the champions. Became like so very clear. But I mean, if he has like the longevity and start very too late, I mean, there's no one had more duns in less fight in the career so far. But for Islam Makhachev, I mean, it became like more undisputed. But I was sad about this. I mean, Makhachev, it became like so realistic because it reminds me of something like the Tribal Chief. But if he has it like up with the goats right now, but that would be happen because they would like it a lot to be more conservative about that. Because if they're gonna need like the 3 more wins and it holds like the longest win streak, they're gonna slap at the second belt. I mean, it could be like every champion in every weight class at once at the bar, and people had to stay about it. But I think that Islam Makhachev, they need like a few things to achieve that. Getting a 17 fight win streak, getting at least 9 title defense, getting the welterweight belt, and become like a 3 weight class champion. It happened a lot, but who's gonna be like that? But if you can see about for the debate of Alex Pereira or Islam Makhachev become the GOAT, I mean, it had to a lot more consider about semi-fly because there was like John Jones, also there's George St. Pierre. It did so much. But we just see like at a lot of athletes, they paved the way to the brand new generation.
Yeah, I love that you brought this question up. And when I talk, please, this is not at you, Rafael, because I really do love your points. This is the idiots who really just want to have these conversations. This is not you, Rafael. This is Twitter. This is the newer fans. Like, there's no way that we should even talk about GOAT standings with either of these guys, okay? GOATs are reserved for legends of the sport, okay? And you know, to be honest, if you want to have a GOAT conversation, the GOAT's John Jones, enough said, end the story. Okay, John Jones is LeBron and Michael Jordan and Will Chamberlain. We can't split it in generations with MMA. John Jones is him, okay? John Jones is the demigod of the sport. If John Jones was here, everybody else is here. Don't give a fuck who you're fans of. GSP, Khabib, don't care, okay? If you want to talk about GOAT status, then there goes John Jones. They'll probably go Khabib, and they'll probably go GSP. To put Alex in GOAT standard is fucking absurd. I put him fifth in my top 5 fighting right now. And people be like, wow, you have Alex Pereira fifth? Shit, he might even drop down to 6th or 7th because he just lost to Izzy. Don't give a fuck what he did after that loss. You have to deserve that. You have to win your spot back. We hand out these pound for pound rankings so easy, like the fucking stocking stuffings on Christmas. Like it's so stupid. Like, you know who's number 1 right now, fighting right now, is John Jones. People be like, but he's not even fighting. Guess what? He's injured. Just because he's injured, we should just take him off the list. He still is sanctioned by the Nevada State Athletic Commission to fight, by the New York State Athletic Commission to fight. Should I go on? Okay, Khabib's not there no more because he's retired. We get that. But as long as John Jones is still able to fight, guess what, guys? People get injured. So Tom Brady misses a game. Patrick Mahomes misses a season, and we're just gonna stop talking about Patrick Mahomes like he doesn't exist? No, Patrick Mahomes is still him. Tom Brady is still him. John Jones is still him. Number 2 is Islam. You can't debate me on that shit. Islam got knocked the fuck out at UFC 292, and the rest is history. The rest is history, defeating foes like Dan Hooker, like Bobby Green, like Charles Oliveira. 2 times Alex knocked him out and just finished a Dustin Poirier by a Bravo choke. Okay, a Doris. For some of you don't know that, a Doris choke. So Islam is technically number 2. You know who's number 3? Leon Edwards. Because you know what Leon Edwards did? He lost against Kamaru Usman. And what did he do after that? Go on a fucking tear, beating the who's who of the middleweight division to go back and beat Kamaru Usman twice. Are we just gonna forget how good Kamaru Usman is? We're just honestly gonna forget that Kamaru Usman ran his fucking division and Leon went in there and fucking head kicked him to the shadow realm. We're just gonna forget that Leon Edward absolutely fucking mauled anybody that they put against him after he just reached a certain level. And yes, that accidental eye poke against Muhammad. We're gonna see that rematch at UFC 304. You know who's 4th on that list? Sugar Sean O'Malley. Why do you put Sean O'Malley on that list? Because guess what? He lost against Marlon Vera that literally rolled his ankle And he proved that he basically is going out here and knocking out these people. So that's fair knockouts to whatever you want to count against Alex's knockout. And he get who is, I'm not even trying to be disrespectful, but let's stack resumes. Let's stack resumes, because you know who I'm gonna stack? I'm gonna stack Peter Yan. I'm gonna stack Aljamain Sterling. I'm gonna stack even Molavera again, because he absolutely demolished him at UFC 299 in Miami. I'm gonna stack those fighters against Yuri, against Jamal Hill. I'm not trying to take anything away from Alex Pereira against Jan, against Yuri twice. Not going to take anything away Alex Pereira, but guess what? He's on a 12-fight win streak. Didn't Alex just get knocked out against Izzy? I get it. He won against Izzy. He won against Izzy the first time, but didn't Alex just get knocked out against Izzy? Remind me. The last time Sean O'Malley literally lost the fucking fight. Can you remind me the last time Edwards lost the fight? Can you remind me the last time Islam lost the fight? I just did it for you guys. So for those of you that want to fucking put your little stupid Ilias, overhype Alexes, or even fucking overhype all these people that shouldn't be in the pound for pound rankings, I don't know where they get this list from, because the true motherfuckers know that Alex is good, but he needs time. And Alex, couple more wins. You go out there and you beat Aliyev. You go out there and you beat another one that everybody's hyping up, the Tom Aspinalls of the world. Everybody's hyping up Tom Aspinall. Didn't he just fucking lose like 2 years ago? Don't even get him into a conversation of John Jones versus Tom Aspinall. That is a stupid conversation I'm not gonna have with these idiots. Stop hyping up these fighters like they're so fucking special, man. I can't wait to see this fight against Curtis Blades. Tom Aspinall, I'm not trying to talk shit on him because he's a beast, but people go on these streaks and everybody just sucks their dick. At the end of the day, I want to see more fights out of Alex. And Alex, if you go get 3 more knockouts, then let's talk about you moving up on that list. But other than that, is John Jones number 1 pound for pound right now, currently fighting? Is Islam number 2? It's Edwards number 3, and Sean O'Malley number 4. And maybe you fit someplace with the Max Holloways of the world, with the Ilias. I don't even know why Ilias on the list, but I'm just being a hater at this point. But you know what I'm saying? With all these guys that's in front of you, that you feel that you're better than your Alex, that Volkanovskis, your DTPs of the world and shit like that. But Tom Aspinall at 11, like I don't understand. I really don't understand. Yeah, the guy's good. I get it. I get the guy's good. But what happens? What happens when he goes against Alex Pereira? Let's see. You go beat a Tom Aspinall. You go beat a Aliyev. You go beat all these guys to move up on your list, because at the end of the day, this recency bias is absolutely ridiculous.
I mean, you got the right point. But honestly, I just talking about for like the John Jones or about for this one. I mean, he just became like something pretty soon about for this career. But he's not like the most technically alive fighter in area, but he's very good in all those areas, because it's gonna be much of this technique right now rather than other UFC fights. I mean, their skills are very rounded, but it's not technically like the elite. But he doesn't have to play through the game for the skills in all the area combined with his genetics to give like the edge. I mean, part of this one, because he certainly had the most gifted athletes that ever entered the UFC. I mean, he also had the 2 brothers in the NFL in athleticism and muscle failure make everything. I mean, he's very fast, strong, explosive. I mean, his skill acquisition is off the charts. I mean, he could be like the highest caliber in athlete rather than most guys at the UFC. That matter a lot. He got very physicality, height, reach, athleticism. I mean, that size has got the really speed, endurance, and for the skill set. But the real reason why John Genius is a genius, but he's very innovative. He's willing to try new and low prototype things that are wear into this game. But instantly they knows how to destroy someone, the basic like the physique, movement, the ferris, and around like this one. But never forget that John Jones paid that way.
Paved the way for multiple generations. It survived every generation and truly is not undefeated. It should be 28-1. It should be 28 and a no contest. And this is why I get so irritated with the pound for pound rankings. We have people that literally just like, I'm not even saying just lost, but I mean like he lost in the last 4 years. He got knocked out. Izzy knocked this guy out. I'm not trying to take anything away from Alex. I really ain't. But people just need to understand what is the definition of pound for pound. It means you can take your skills and you can put it at any weight class and you can succeed. We haven't really seen Wusserlin out of Pereira yet. We haven't seen him take him down and submit someone. If Pereira takes a person down and onboard someone, then okay, put him high on the pound for pound list. But we have a guy named Shakawat Wakanamov that literally is 18-0, 10 submissions, 8 knockouts, never been knocked out, never been submission, never fucking lost in his professional career, never been to a decision at 18-0. Shouldn't that be considered as pound for pound, but not even on the list? But we have like that's what I'm saying. Like, if you lost, like, why are you on this fucking list? I get it. No, don't get me wrong. There's a lot of people that losers is not that old. What I meant by that is like when we have people that literally lost in the past year, literally lost 2 times in a row in the past year, that's still in the top 10. But we have people like Shakawat that is 18-0, never been to decision, finished every opponent, not even on the list.
All right.
What's the definition of pound for pound? Can someone tell me that doesn't make any sense? It doesn't make any sense. Who would like Shakawat versus Volkanovski in a fight? Who you picking? I'm taking Shakawat. I am plain out simple. I'm taking Shakawat. So at the end of the day, why is he not on the list? That's why I'm saying I don't count this pound for pound shit because there's a whole lot of bullshit and it's a fun conversation. But when you have fighters that's clearly undefeated, not on these lists, it's mind boggling when they're clearly. You look at Diego Lopez, right? You look at his one, right?
Yeah.
Diego Lopez is good, right? You know why he's getting rewarded? Because he's doing good out there. The thing is, you have to seize the moments. There's a lot of fighters that would seize the moment, but they don't get the chance. They go through the gauntlet of the regular standards. But we get someone, like, I'm not trying to say he jumped the line, but we get someone, let's not even talk about Alex, because I have a lot of respect for Alex, and he is a monster. But you get someone maybe like a Brock Lesnar that comes in, that can clearly just jump the line. If Garcia, if Garcia, the boxer, if Ryan Garcia was to get into MMA and sign to the UFC, he would jump the line. We have someone like Bo Nickal who is jumping the line. Some of these guys, they don't get that chance to jump the line. I guarantee you when Shakawat gets his chance to jump the line, when he's not injured, to fight for a championship, he will probably be the one that will defeat the Muhammad or defeat the Edwards at the top of the division. He is probably going to be the next champion one day. We have people like Chimaev that is out here killing motherfuckers. So at the end of the day, why are they not on the list when they're clearly showing that he can go up for up with a champion like Edwards? No, I'm just sorry, a champion like Usman, but you're not even gonna have him on the list. But you have a champion that lost twice in the year that's still on the list. That's what I don't understand. Yes, your skills translate. Losses or lessons. Yeah, losses are not that bad in MMA. But at the end of the day, when it comes to pound for pound, when it really matters, like, let's run it in a simulation. We'll all weigh 265 pounds, everybody, and let's go see the grappling of Islam versus the grappling defense of Alex. Let's see what happens there.
Yep. I mean, you have a great point. But I think that Jon Jones, it became like one of those elite combat athletes and arguably like the best one in the world. I mean, the way he controls, he managed the distance between about for this opponent is super technical, super necessary. I mean, he's not that best at any single martial art, but the best is combining the martial arts along with the best coaches and trainers, just like Craig Jensen working on him. I mean, he has the great combat instinct and institution to execute this arsenal from unorthodox striking, where he's using his physical size to prove his advantage. I mean, I'm not saying it's not like, because he's not even like a good fighter, but he's one of the best in the world. And we're talking about for like trailblazing athletes. I mean, when you're talking about for like trailblazing athletes who pave the way for the UFC, if we're talking about for Tom Aspinall, Michael Bisping, Leon Edwards, I mean, the European fighters, they just pay like the way because they know exactly about for the advantage. They know about for like the wrestling, the grappling, the striking. They had the best in Muay Thai and Jiu Jitsu. And for that, Michael Bisping, because I know he's retired, but Michael Bisping, I mean, he's such a great badass. I know he almost lost an eye, but it was casually because I know this because he just like had the
That's a
tons of
warrior. You
fights.
see that, Cody? You take notes. Fighting fucking blind and still want to fight, Cody.
Yeah,
Bondage. Sorry.
yeah, but I mean because
Okay,
they
okay,
absolutely
I got baby in the back of the head. I can't continue fighting. I can't. I'm dizzy. Shut the fuck up, Cody. Shut up and fight. I'm sorry.
oh my god.
Say,
Yeah,
we got Michael Bisping literally fucking telling the doctors in the middle of his UFC career, "I'll fix it after I'm done fighting. You're gonna lose your vision if you fight. I'll fix it after I'm done fighting." How gangster is that shit? How gangster is that shit? You know what I'm saying? I'm sorry.
yeah, I know. I understand about that, but I really because he kind of has to do right now because I know he's a former champion with the defense of the title. I mean, arguably is one of the most important British fighter ever. I mean, it's clearly that one because obviously because it's being like
He's a
the only
national treasure.
psychopathic champ because he just won for the title with one eye. And he just beat Anderson before this decline. I mean, he's such a big, like, great character. He played the heel very well, but it turned like a baby face. It's just like a wrestling character. I mean, absolutely what he did about for this career, because he's been always like the combat sports, to get involved with the young kids. But I know that more people become like very knowledgeable about for the MMA, the Brazilian Jiu Jitsu. I mean, there's more like they just help it too about for the European countries. And I understand that even though there's something about for Conor McGregor, Michael Bisping, also Ilya Tuporia, I mean, they actually have hard to think of because if they're gonna stand like the standard super really hard, because I know the standard is gonna be like very full. I mean, also the list is probably way short, but no one has done it about this one because I know that I understand about it because during for that career, I mean, all these UFC fighters, they have a long career, a lot of experience. They know about how great is that one because of the difference. I mean, it's very equivalent to like a athlete from the NBA or NFL, but they choose like this one because if they want to be like very quiet enough with that, I mean, it's something that is very combined about for the Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, Muay Thai. I mean, they keep it like at a very super technical to keep it at the opponent. Or somebody say standing for the leg kneecap. I mean, we all know for the very athletes can make very rough. But I understand that why those anything about for the UFC fighters that can create a trailblazing career. I understand about it. It became like one of the most watchable sports in the whole era. And we just see like athletes get retired, athletes get like an experimental, athletes are gonna be like a title shot. Also, we just see like the youngest one. I mean, there's nothing to compare about it because they always had a trailblazing career to pave the way for the generation.
Yeah, absolutely facts. You know, and I do want to point something out. I know I've been dissing on Cody most of the show. You know, I usually respect people that go into octagon. I try to respect all these fighters, but at the end of the day, I mean, like, there's come a point where like you just gotta say, hey, do I really want to be here, right? We had scrubs see the octagon and then got a taste of it and never seen it again. We had a what, Mike Jackson go in there and play around with CM Punk and never got a contract out of it because he should have just demolished CM Punk. And CM Punk is a dog for even going into the octagon. He was actually trying in there. And we have a idiot like Mike Jackson that just goes in there and looks stupid. You know what I'm saying? And that's what I'm saying with Cody. It's like you just got mauled by Bo Nicker. Like you literally, your UFC career is on the fucking line. And not even so much for the fans, more so for yourself. It's like, how are you gonna look at your UFC career? You know, you were 10-6, just got mauled by a future contender, and you can move past that. But when you go in And it's not even like Alassane was on a streak or anything. Like the guy literally is right there in the same position that you're in. Needs a win. You know what I'm saying? The guy, what is his record? 12-6. So you're 10-6. He's 12-6. You guys are literally fighting for your guys' fucking contracts at this point. The UFC don't like scrubs. You know what I'm saying? And then you go in there and you quit on your fucking self. And that's what makes me so mad, is because like it's not even so much for your fans like me. I'm irritated for those guys that literally bust their fucking ass in the gym 9 days of 9 hours, fucking 7 days of 6 days a week and shit like that. Literally does multiple classes a day that wants a fucking spot in the UFC. And then we have idiots like Cody in there just giving up on the moment. When we literally seen guys like literally get kneed in the face, get elbowed in the face, get soccer kicked in the face, get actually toughen harder blows to the face, get the fuck up and stand. And when the referee comes out and says you're good to fight, when 2 doctors come out and say you're good to fight, when they repeatedly tell you you had 5 minutes, his mind was made up from the fucking first second. The first second the fight his mind made up that he wasn't going to continue because he thought he was going to get an easy victory. And guess what? That shit doesn't happen. So I respect anybody that sets foot in that cage. But at the end of the day, it's almost like do it for yourself. Do it for your family. Do it for the last name. You know what I'm saying? You look like a bitch, Cody. That's just what I have to say.
Yeah. But I understand that they just pay like a long way to do about it. But it also defined for the word greatness. But I know that I understand about for the word greatness. And that's what we're going to talk about. Between the greatness and of course being a strategy and of course think.
There's greatness and there's a bitch like Cody. Correct.
Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah. I know this is gonna be like it is so fun right now, but there's certain like things that we're learning about it. Greatness and think like a warrior. Just put it on knockout and then boom. So I gotta tell you for this one of, ladies and gentlemen, that's been like a great episode because we're just talking about like a lot of stuff in the MMA, and I see like the reception right now for the audience. I mean, shout out to Billy Davis, Daniel Berry, Joel, also Millennial Raider, Owen, Silnekis, Adriana, Maf. I mean, those persons that we can like support to all the episodes, and we just came back to talk a lot of things in the MMA. And I just wanted to tell about one more thing before we're wrapping this up. I just hit like a new milestone right now because I just hit 1K subscribers. So thank you very much.
Let's get it.
Big meals right now. So yes.
Let's get congratulations.
I know this is a very important news. So thank you very much. And of course, I just wanted to say everything. Thank you very much to keep it an eye to the episode of the Combat Club. We got to keep it in touch with another episode with me and my co-host, Sion Sandy. We're going to bring the best of wrestling, boxing, mixed martial arts, everything about for this podcast. So one last thing before we're wrapping this up, Sion. So I'll get it out of my brain.
Yeah, I just want to say thank you so much for always hosting the show like always. I know you guys have been waiting patiently for this show to, come back. I really wanted to say thank you guys for waiting on us, and I know it's been a challenge sometimes when you guys watch a Combat Club every week. We'll do our best to try to give you guys this, and I do want to just say this. Godspeed recovery. Hopefully, he didn't really get hit, but there's no place in this country. I know we love violence when we're watching these combat shows and these MMA shows and these wrestling shows. We love violence, but at the end of the day, there's no violence no matter what side of the spectrum you're on, no matter what scale that you're leaning left or right. There's no president, a current president, a future president that should get shot at anybody in this country. And thankfully, they got the guy and everything's good. So God bless America, and see you guys next week. We have a lot of stuff to cover in the world of WWE, in the world of MMA, and in the world of boxing. So appreciate you always, Rafael, for having me, and let's get it.
Let's get it. And right now we're out of here. So thank you very much. Have a great one and have a great Sunday. And one last word.
Cody's a bitch, sorry.
I just wanted to tell one last word. God bless America. Let's go.